For tutorial 1 in chapter 8, we're going to be focusing on the sweep command, and we're going to be looking at some of the more advanced features of the hole command. Now, the way that we approach this is we have to first identify that there is a sweep in this particular object. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am just going to sketch the trajectory of the sweep. So what I want to do is go to my front plane and do a sketch. And we'll go to sketch view. For this, I need to know the radius of the bend that I have here, and in this case the radius of the bend is 26. So I am going to draw a circle, and for the diameter of the circle I am just going to do 26 times 2, which is going to give me the 52, and now I can use delete segment to get rid of these segments right here, because this line right here is the profile of the sweep that I'm working with. From that point I can simply say OK because I'm done with that sketch. Now at this point I want to go to the sweep command. So I'm going to click on sweep and notice that it automatically picks my path. But now at this point I've got to tell it what I want to sweep. So if I come over here, I have the create or edit sweep section. So I can left click on this and it's going to start a sketch on the start point of that sweep. So at this point I'm going to draw two circles. One circle is going to represent the inside diameter, the other circle is going to represent the outside diameter. So my outside diameter in this case is going to be 29. And my inside circle is going to be 21. With those two located, all I have to do is select OK, and it will go ahead and create the sketch or the profile that is going to be swept and the path. And then if everything looks OK in your preview, you can select the checkbox to accept the command. Now for the next piece of this, it's just regular extrusions. So I'm going to left click on this edge right here and go to the sketch command. And now the sizes and stuff of this are a little bit different. So what I want to do is I want to project this circle in right here, but then delete it. And again, that leaves me with the reference geometry. I can now do the centered rectangle, and in this case I believe it's actually square, and it's going to be 36 by 36. So I can just come in here and do 36, and I can either do an equals constraint or just put another 36 on here. Either way is going to be fine. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to draw in this center circle, because if I don't draw it in, then it'll extrude this block solid and I'll have to recut that hole. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and say OK and go to extrude, and then I can extrude this thing its total height of 5. And before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this surface. We'll go to sketch. I'm going to project the arc and then delete the arc. Go to my centered rectangle command, and we'll dimension this one at 36 by 36 as well. And then draw in that center circle. Finish that and extrude it a total distance of 5. Okay, now I need to create the holes that are going to be used for this particular object. So I can see that these are counter bored holes, but the counter bore is actually coming in from the back side. If you look very closely at figure 8-72 on page 8-31, on the right side view you can see the little bit of a counter bore that exists on those holes. It'll be a little bit more clear once I actually draw it on here, but just so that you're aware, it's not just a standard through hole, it has some additional information to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to one of these corner points where I can kind of see it clearly, and I'm going to click on the hole command, and I'm going to select this face. Now after I select this face, I know that dimensionally it's 5 in from each side, so I'm going to click placement, click this box, and then we'll left click this edge, hit control, and left click this edge. Now, the dimensions are kind of all over the place right now and maybe a little bit hard to see, but I know that this one here needs to be 5. And if I can grab this one here, I know that it needs to be 5. I'm not necessarily going to worry about the depth right now or the diameter because I'm going to do a couple of different options. Instead of just doing a standard hole here, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select through all, but now I want to do a standard hole profile. And by doing the standard hole profile, it now gives me the option to add the counter bore. I can then click on the shape tab and I can see that it gives me a preview of everything that I need to type in for this. So my counter bore is 6. It has a depth of 1. I'll go ahead and accept that. Let me go ahead and change that to 1. Let me go ahead and change this to 3. And then I should be able to change this to 6. So there we can see the preview of the counterbored hole as it wants to place it in this particular object. So I can go ahead and say OK. Now I'm going to pattern this hole, and there's 2 ways that I can pattern this hole. And I'm going to kind of use the simpler method, but I can either do a rectangular pattern or a circular pattern because there's only 4 holes. So if I click on the pattern command and change this to axis and then select the axis for that hole that was there, it's already set up at 490, so all I have to do is hit the checkbox and that gives me all 4 of the holes that are located. I'm going to repeat that process up here. So I'll go to the hole command and I'll select this face for placement. I'm going to pick the 2 edges and select that it's 5 off of each edge. Change this to through all. Do a standard drill profile with a counter bore. Click on shape, and now I can go ahead and change the parameters for the hole. So we've got that at 3, that at 6, and I'm sorry, the depth of this at 1. So here we've got our 6, 1, and our 3. Everything is where I need it to be. I can go ahead and select OK. Go right back into pattern, select axis, pick the axis for the hole that's in the middle, and hit the checkbox. Sometimes when you know that the default is exactly what you're looking for, it makes it a lot faster to actually model. The last thing that I need to do is I need to put in all of my fillets on these corners. They all have a radius of 2. So I'll go to the round command and type in 2 for the radius, and I will just select each of these 8 corners to round off. And that completes tutorial 1 in chapter 8. After I hit this